Amina was the sort of girl people remembered without meaning to, not for showy things, but for the way sunlight seemed to follow her when she walked home from the river. She had a quiet kind of beauty, hopeful eyes, a laugh that arrived soft and quick, hands that knew the shape of a borrowed cup, and the patience for mending a torn shirt. Her village sat between a red clay road and a slow river, where the mornings smelled of wood smoke, and the afternoons curled around children chasing goats. Life there was small, honest, and sometimes harsh. When the rains failed one year, the wells grew thin, and the market sold less and less. People hunched over their problems, afraid to lend even a smile. Amina noticed everything. She noticed the elderly neighbor who could not lift a bucket. She noticed the little boy who never brought bread to school because his mother could not afford it. She noticed the young men who had left for the city but came back with empty pockets and heavy pride. She could have done little and said nothing. Instead, she did what she could. Each morning, Amina rose early. With 2 loaves, she walked the market lane, giving one to whomever needed it more. When the old woman at the corner could not carry her firewood, Amina picked up the bundle and carried it home. When a goat tangled its legs, she sat in the dust and calmed it until it could walk. These were small things, and at first people barely noticed. Then one late afternoon, a drought stretched the river into a thin silver thread. The village council argued and blamed and promised things they could not afford. Food grew scarcer. A boy named Kado, once restless and loud, sneaked into the market and stole a sack of maize. He was caught. The crowd wanted punishment. The judge wanted an example. Amina stepped forward, not in loud protest, but with a loaf of bread held out for Cato's mother. He was hungry, she said simply. Teach him. Don't break him. Her voice was not a sermon. It was an invitation. The judge sighed, moved by something softer than law. Instead of prison, Cato was asked to fix the broken irrigation channel that fed the communal garden. Cato worked. He found he could build when he was not being judged. The crowd watched his hands, and slowly, their anger washed away. Amina did more than bread and sympathy. She began a small thing that sounded foolish at first. With the last of her savings, she bought a single young baobab sapling from a traveling seller, a slender stick in a burlap bag. The village laughed. A baobab takes years, they said. You should buy maize, Amina. She planted it at the edge of the garden and tied a poem she had written to its stem. Grow with us. Give when you can. She watered that sapling every evening, even on days when the river seemed to hold its breath. She sang to it the songs her grandmother taught her, songs of rain and patience. Slowly, slowly, leaves appeared. The children named it the Giving Baobab. Years moved like seasons. When the rains returned, the garden that the villagers had once trashed for lack of hope became rich again. The baobab grew taller and stouter than anyone expected, and with it, the people around it changed. Cato, who had mended his ways beside the irrigation channel, taught other boys to build. The women organized a rota to share harvests. The old woman who could not carry wood now led the market's morning chorus of sellers. The village, piece by piece, stitched itself. Then came the hardest test. A sickness swept through the neighboring region, and traders stopped coming. Prices rose. The market grew thin. The village faced hunger again. People feared the worst. On a morning thick with worry, Amina climbed the baobab to the lowest branch and called the village together. She did not have many words. She had, instead, a plan made of small, stubborn kindnesses. "We will share what we have," she told them. "We will teach each other what we know. We will build a pantry that belongs to everyone." The villagers hesitated. Sharing was hard, especially in fear. But Amina had never asked for credit. She only asked for trust. They built the pantry with hands that once pointed fingers. Cato carved shelves. The women packed dried sorghum and baobab fruit. The old men fixed the door. Every time someone took from the pantry, they left a small something in return. A handful of beans, a woven basket, a story. It became a treasury of tiny gifts. When the drought and the sickness passed, the pantry still stood. The baobab bore fruit, sweet and rich, a bounty that fed market days and school children. Travelers who passed the village spread the story. A young woman with a kind smile had planted a tree and a habit, and both had saved a people. People asked Amina once why she had chosen a tree. Why not a well, or coins, or some grander thing? She took their hands and said simply, "A tree gives slowly, but it teaches patience." Kindness is the same. If you plant it for show, it will wither. If you plant it to feed another, it roots into the earth. Years later, when the village had a school and a small clinic and a market that hummed, the children would sit under the giving baobab and listen. They would ask the same question: what happens if kindness is taken for granted? The elders would smile and pass a piece of fruit. "Then you tend it again," they said. "You tend it like Amina." Amina grew older. Her beauty never left, not because of looks, but because the village had learned to see what she saw. The worth in ordinary hands, the miracle of being useful. When people came from far away, they took pictures of the massive baobab and asked for her name. They left with more than a photo. They left with a small idea wrapped like a seed, that one person's consistent, gentle care can remake the world around them. And so the village changed, not by one great gesture, but by countless small ones stitched together. Bread handed over a dusty road, a stolen sack turned into a chance to learn, a sapling watered with songs. The baobab still stands there to this day, heavy with fruit and stories. If you ever pass that red road, you may find a child giving someone else a loaf.